Welcome to the channel. It's Friday night. I'm having a few beers and I feel like talking, right? So, thought I'd shoot a video. Now, I've told some stories in past videos and I've had some people request that I tell more. So, I'm just going to tell some stories. I don't know if they'll be interesting. Can't promise that. I'm going to do my best. Tell some stories. Now, I've got 4 different things written down. I don't know if I'm going to do all 4. I'll check the time after I do 2. I might do a separate video. We'll see. I don't know. We'll play it by ear. So let us begin. So I looked up dates. I couldn't find dates for one show, but I found dates for the rest. So I'll just do them in order. So 1988, December 1st. Slayer, Motorhead, and Overkill, Daytona Beach, Florida. So I'd been in Florida. I was 18. 18 years old, 1988. Had lived in Florida for about 6 months, 5 months, about 5 months. Kind of nervous. I'd never really traveled outside of my little area, Vero Beach to Melbourne. That's as far as I went, you know. Going to Daytona by myself was a little bit nervous. So, I was telling my parents, I really want to go to Daytona. So, my aunt and uncle were actually visiting, from Illinois. They were down visiting. So, my dad said, hey, how about this? How about we all go to Daytona? Get a couple hotel rooms. We'll drop you off at your concert. Don't worry about it. So, we all jumped in the car. We headed to Daytona. I don't know what day of the week it was. We get there. It was afternoon. My dad's like, what time you want to go to your concert? I was like, well, just drop me off now. It was early afternoon. So just drop me off now. Don't worry about it. I'll just hang out. So he thought I was crazy, but we get to this Daytona Beach Ocean Center. It's a big arena. I'm like, just drive around the back. So in the back of the arena, like where they were unloading, where they would take their gear in and stuff, there was a small group of people that was just kind of waiting, a lot of autograph hounds kind of thing. So I'm like, that's where I'll be, just drop me off there. So there was maybe half a dozen of us that were just kind of hanging out in the back of the Ocean Center. And there was like a door, there was like a bus, I think it was Motorhead's bus because it had a handwritten sign in the window that said knob off. That sounds British, knob off. So yeah, that was like the Motorhead bus was like parked right there and whatever. So I'm just hanging out, with these people, I'm not much of a talker really. So I wasn't really talking. I was just kind of listening, joining in, listening, to what people were saying. At some point, Kerry King comes out. He comes out the door and he comes over to us, signs autographs. This was before cell phones, right? So no selfies, nobody that had a camera that I remember. You had to bring your camera with you, and people just didn't do that. Couldn't take it inside, so you're not going to bring a camera. So, yeah, Kerry King, super cool. There was a dude there hanging out that collected guitar picks, and he had an album, with like your plastic pages in it, and he had all these guitar picks, that, and Kerry King wanted to see it. Kerry King was flipping through looking at this guitar pick collection and commenting on different bands, like there was bands there. I forget who it was. It was like Poison or somebody. Guy had like a Poison pick, and Kerry King's like, Poison? And the dude's like, it's a pick, But really cool. He gives him some picks for his collection. Kerry King, super cool, nice guy, right? So who else? Jeff at one point, heard there was a group of people hanging out back. He come, opened the door and like, yeah, yelled, acknowledged us. That was it. He didn't actually come out and mingle. He just acknowledged us and went back in. At some point during the afternoon, later in the evening, before, of course, it was before the doors open. Once the doors open, I went inside. So this was from like, 2 in the afternoon till, 7 or whatever. I was just hanging out. At some point, Lemmy comes out. So Lemmy, we all run to Lemmy, get his autograph. I sold my Kerry King autograph, believe it or not. I do that. I've had so many cool things in my lifetime, and I need money. I sell shit. I'm self-employed. I've been self-employed since 1995. Haven't had a real actual job since 1995. I survive by doing stuff. I get by, you know, and sometimes I need money, so I sell stuff. So I sold my Kerry King autograph for $20 back in the 90s. Okay. Still have my Lemmy autograph. I should have located it. I kind of think I might know where it is. It's mixed in with some stuff. But still have my Lemmy autograph. Got my Lemmy autograph. He was looking for a bar. He was asking people, is there a bar nearby? Where's the nearest bar? He just was looking for a bar. Nice guy. The only thing that thing on his face was like much bigger in person, even, sorry, rest in peace, Lemmy. Anyway, back to Slayer. Here's the story with Slayer. That tour, they had a couple days off before the show. Between shows, they had a couple days off, so they spent it in Daytona. They had rental cars. So at some point, I should talk about Dave Lombardo before I talk about this. Sorry, I've screwed this up. Dave and I guess his wife pulled in, in a car, rental car, like I mentioned, and got out and looked like they'd been arguing, right? Just the look on their faces and the way they slammed the doors and started marching in, I think they'd been arguing in the car. And Dave didn't even look up. Dave, we're yelling, Dave, Dave. And he didn't even acknowledge us. He just stomped right in the building with his wife, I guess. Yeah, he was not in a good mood that day. So yeah. So anyway, like I said, they had rental cars. So at some point, Kerry King comes back out and he's like, does anybody have a car? I didn't have a car. I got dropped off by my parents, right? Some dude's like, yeah, I got a car. So Kerry's like, we got to return our rental cars. Can you follow us and bring us back? So the dude's like, well, yeah. Like, so him and his buddy, they go jump in a car. Kerry and Tom come out. Tom, he acknowledged us. That was the extent of it. He didn't sign autographs or nothing. Hey, whatever. I don't remember what he said. He acknowledged us. Like I said, Kerry was the only one that actually came out and was cool and mingled and, shook our hands and thanked us for being there. Yeah. So Kerry and Tom, they come out, they get in the rental cars and they leave. So we're just hanging out. It might be at that point is when Lemmy actually came out while we were just kind of, nothing else was going on. I don't remember like the order things happen. Eventually, the dude comes back and he drops, Carrie and Tom off at the back door, and they've got Chick-fil-A cups, right? They go in. The dudes, that were driving, they went and parked and come back, and they just couldn't wait to tell us, what had happened. It's like, yeah, we brought them back from the rental car place, and we passed the mall, and they wanted to stop at the mall. So we stopped at the mall. We ate Chick-fil-A at the food court with Slayer, and then we went to Record Bar and we shopped for records, with Slayer. It was awesome. These guys were just so excited because they just got to hang out with Tom and Carrie, go record shopping at Record Bar and eating Chick-fil-A at the mall, and they were just so excited. And it was like, I was excited for them. I didn't have a car. I wasn't eligible for that, but Carrie comes back out again, gives these dudes backstage passes, for helping them out. So yeah, I mean, them dudes then, they were gone. They were backstage. So, and then the doors open, we go in, and it was a great show, as you'd expect. I mean, Overkill were great. I remember them being especially great, and then Motorhead. It's the only time I've ever seen Motorhead, only time I've seen all three of these, actually. Never saw Overkill again, never saw Slayer again. So anyway, that's my Slayer story. Meeting Kerry King, super cool. Like I said, super cool, nice guy. The only one, like I said, Dave, he'd been arguing with his wife. I'm sure, like I've never been married, but I had a girlfriend once that we argued a lot. So, I know what that's like. So, anyway, that's one story. I'll tell you another one. I got time for another one. I don't think I'll do all four because it's like 12 minutes in. So, next on the list is November 13th, 1991. Exploited Biohazard typo negative. Now, for starters, I have absolutely no memory of seeing typo negative at all. Maybe I showed up late. Was never a fan, right? Love Carnivore, right? Love Carnivore, Pete Steele's great. Was just not a typo negative fan. Just never listened to him. So it could be I just hung out in the back or, at the bar drinking and just ignored him. Who knows? I don't know. Anyway, no regulars. I remember Biohazard, Biohazard, they're not my cup of tea, really. I mean, they're not terrible, but yeah, that's just not my style, I guess. But the Exploited. So here's the thing. This club, the Power Station it was called, in Melbourne, Florida, no stage diving allowed. No stage diving. So, nobody stage diving. At some point, I don't know at what point, show was, I'm sure, half over. It wasn't like, the show got cut short or nothing. It was a show they'd been playing for a while. Some kid gets up on stage and stage dives. Security. There was this security guard that, he was at every show, that I went to. I went to a lot of shows at the Power Station. Little short guy. Like, I'm not tall. I'm less than 6 feet. But this guy was short, right? He was short. Bodybuilder type. So he was, one of these guys, that's, his arms are sticking out weird because he's so muscular. He was one of them guys, and he was short. And he was always like, he was throwing his weight around. If you broke the rules, he was throwing you out. And, it don't matter how big you were. He was going to be he was one of them guys, right? So this kid jumps off stage, and this security guard grabs him and it just starts marching into the front door. So this club, like when you're watching the stage is there, the front door is right here, right? So, you if you're off to the side, you can see straight out the front door into the lobby, right? That's where the door was. So security takes the guy, the kid, and he just marches him out and he's going to kick him out. Waddy, the singer, what's his name? Buchanan. I always call him Buchanan, but it's like Buchanan, I guess, is Waddy Buchanan, I guess. I don't know. Waddy. He's Waddy, right? Didn't have his hair in a mohawk when I saw him. It was like braided, like all braided, kind of cool. Waddy sees the security guy hauling this kid out. Waddy jumps off the stage and starts following the security guard. Band keeps playing. I'm sure it's not the first time Waddy's jumped off stage during the set, Waddy marches out, and like I said, move to the side, and you can see straight out the front door into the lobby. We see the security guard, the way I remember it, it was like the security guard, the kid, and Waddy's got the kid by the shirt trying to pull him back into the building and back into the club. And the security guard is like, stopping. And like, he's like, no, he's out of here, And the security guard, like, Waddy was huge. He's a big guy. And the security guard is a little short guy. And it was this weird, Waddy, yelling at this little security guard. And the security guard just, standing his ground, Eventually, Waddy comes back in from the lobby, gets back up on stage, tells the band to stop playing, because they've just been playing all along. Picks up the microphone and says, they can't throw everybody out. And that was it. Everybody just started piling onto the stage, myself included. I'm up on stage, I'm drunk at this point. I was drinking by this time, at this point in my life, I was big into like vodka tonics, right? Absolute tonic with a twist of lime. And I'm drinking a few of those. And by the end of the show, like I didn't drive, my friend Jim, I almost forgot his name, Jim. My friend Jim would drive, and I was wasted by the end of the show usually. So I'm wasted pretty much. I'm up on stage with the Exploited, and we do Sex and Violence, right? So we start singing Sex and Violence, Sex and Violence, you know the song, So at some point, they cut the power. They cut the power to the stage and turn the lights on. And so all you can hear is the drums, and we're all singing, and the club, the owner of the club or the manager, whoever, he comes out and he's like, you're out of here. He's yelling and and it's like, what the fuck, So, we finished the song and Waddy's high-fiving, I high-five Waddy, and I'm just, I'm up on stage with the Exploited. And my friend Jim, he literally grabs me and yanks me off the stage, right? And he's like, we're getting the fuck out of here. And I'm just like, I'm wasted. I'm having fun. It's like probably one of my greatest experiences. It's like the closest I've been to anarchy, It's like things were just getting there. And it was awesome, And so we get out, we get in the car, and I don't know why Jim's freaking out. He was down on the floor and he heard, I guess, what the club owner was saying. I couldn't really hear him. I'm up on stage. I just saw this guy ranting and raving and pointing and yelling, So, we get in the car, we leave. Soon as we leave the parking lot, 3 police cars with their sirens on, whipping into the parking lot, So I don't know what they said when they called the police, but there was 3 cars with their lights on whipping into the parking lot as we're leaving, So I guess nothing happened. I didn't read about anything in the paper, no incident. So I guess like they didn't tear the club up or anything. But yeah, that was my brush with anarchy, with the exploited. What else do I have here? It's like I'm 20 minutes in. I could just cut it here and do another video. What else do I have? My Entombed Disorder Dead Horse story, my DRI story, and my death story. I don't know. What do you think? Like I said, I don't know if these stories were entertaining. You know, I don't know. Like I said, I'm drinking and smoking. I don't mention that I smoke weed. I decided a long time ago, when I started this channel, not to mention it because YouTube doesn't like it. They don't like the subject because it's not legal everywhere and it's illegal federally, right? So, I don't mention it, but yeah, I smoke every day, a lot. Sorry. I was afraid when I started making the channel. I didn't want to say anything offensive. I didn't want to upset people. And I think there's people that still to this day, because when I was a kid, I didn't smoke weed when I was young. Didn't smoke it when I was a teen. Smoked it a handful of times throughout my life, right? I'm not saying I never did it, but I was never a smoker. I never bought it. I never, I'm one of those guys that if I was at a party and people were smoking weed, I'm going to weasel my way in and get a hit, right? So that was my experience with weed, At a party in high school a couple times, somebody was smoking a joint, I took a hit, Later in the 90s, I had a friend that was a smoker. And I was really into like Magic the Gathering and the Decipher Star Trek game was really good. That was a good game. The Decipher Star Wars game I thought was a little too complicated, but the Star Trek game, Next Generation, was an amazing game. And his name was Ron. Ron was a pot smoker. And we both played the Star Trek Next Generation. I owned a comic book store. I don't know if I've ever mentioned, I used to own a comic book store in the 90s. And, sold comics, but also sports cards and collectibles and, everything. Everything collectible, right? So we sold Magic, we had dudes that would come in the store. I had a neighbor that was like world's greatest dungeon master, right? So he would come in and run D&D games and Gamma World. We'd play Gamma World in the store. And there was a role-playing game that came out called Hong Kong Action Theater. That was really cool. We played that. Raymond, the dungeon master, he would run all this stuff and was just great at it. So what was I talking about? I got sidetracked. I used to own a comic book store. I go down a fucking path and now I don't know. Oh, weed. Oh, Ron, right. Oh, so we played, I was really into that Decipher Star Trek The Next Generation card game. So Ron was too. And like Ron, like he ended up, like he had a great Federation deck. Like he had the Enterprise and Picard and, all the big crew members. Like I had both. I think I had like a Romulan deck and a whatever. I think my Romulan deck, was it Romulan or Klingon? No, Klingon. I had a Romulan deck and a Klingon deck, I think. I don't remember. It's been a long time. That was the 90s, But anyway, like Ron, that's I know now. Like Ron smoked. So I'd go to Ron's and we'd play cards and we'd smoke a little, Also played guitar. Ron played guitar. So I took my guitar over there and we'd play guitar and smoke a little weed. But that was it. It's just once in a while kind of thing. Since it's been legalized, it's now an everyday thing, right? Now, I don't know why I brought that up. See, this is what it does to me though, is it affects the brain a little bit. Makes me creative. Really gets my creative juices flowing, you know? But it has its negative drawbacks, you know? It's not perfect, you know? Makes you lazy. Makes you really lazy. And it's like, before you smoke. If I smoke this, it's gonna make me lazy. I won't get anything done. And you do it anyway, you know? You know it. We're up to 26 minutes. I don't know. I think I'll just cut it short, wrap up. So yeah, I just, like I said, couple stories, for those that have been wanting stories, it's for you. I got a couple more. Like I said, I told 2 stories. I got 2 more good ones. So yeah, thanks for watching. If you're still watching, that is. I mean, most of you tuned out probably. I mean, I don't know. I'll watch this. Maybe it was better. I always just assume I do a bad job, but, most of my videos are passable. It's what I think. So, anyway, thanks for watching. I'll see you soon, like probably in a day, for the Weekend Metal. Weekend Metal will happen this week. So that's probably tomorrow's video. Thanks for watching. See ya.